Ford has a long history in motorsports and making fast cars. Here are some of the fastest in the history of the company. 1987 Ford Sierra or S500 Cosworth. Top speed 150 miles per hour. The Sierra 500 rupees was a homologation special to satisfy regulations and be eligible to compete in Group A racing. With the cancellation of the Group B class, Group A was set in place with tighter regulations and power outputs that were more manageable on racetracks and rally stages. Unlike its Group B predecessor, the RS200, the RS500 was most known for its dominance on the circuit rather than rally stages. The RS500, powered by the YB engine that was developed by Cosworth, who introduced a 16-valve cylinder head and turbocharging to better motivate the Sierra. As evidence of its racing intents, the later RS500s were sold with an unplugged second set of injectors that allowed for the bigger boost, which unlocked more power when wired to function. In turn, it allowed the racing versions to make close to 500 horsepower and exceed 150 miles per hour. 1971 Ford Transit SuperVan 1. Top speed 150 miles per hour. If 600 horsepower SUVs are insane, the first Ford Transit SuperVan trumps them by a wide margin. Although Ford never sold SuperVans to just anyone who'd walk into a dealership and fork over the money, the idea of a 400 horsepower van brought enough attention to the brand that it managed to get people through the dealership doors. Anyway, for a publicity stunt, the SuperVan was quite an elaborate build. Starting with a retired GT40 chassis, a 5L V8 was positioned centrally where passengers or cargo would be and used much of the other components from the famed Le Mans race car. While drag racing wasn't its main purpose, it could manage a 14.5 second per mile time and was capable of speeds faster than 150 miles per hour. But that was the bravest anyone could manage. 1987 Ford RS200 Evolution. Top speed 150 miles per hour. The 200 rupees is the most popular Ford-built rally car. That honor goes to the Escort, the Mark I from 1967 and the MTA from 1974, but with a short wheelbase, four-wheel drive, and close to 500 horsepower. The RS200 has to be the ultimate Ford rally car, especially designed and built to compete in the highly competitive and notoriously dangerous Group B class of rallying. As part of Group B homologation regulations, Ford had to build and sell 200 units of the purpose-built rally rocket to be eligible to compete. So, the RS200 is not only fast, but also rare as it gets. In road specification, with a full interior, the 200 rupees made significantly less than in rally trim, but still manages a 4.7 second 0 to 60 miles per hour sprint and tops out at 150 miles per hour. Which leads one to ask, how much faster is it when fully uncorked? 2000 for Mustang SVT Cobra are 175 miles per hour. While the 2000 Cobra isn't the first one to carry the name, it was the first Mustang that was single-mindedly aimed at performance and speed. It was sold with a functional aero package, wider wheels, and sticky tires being the most visible changes from the regular Mustang, but its performance focus goes even deeper. The Cobra R is powered by a heavily reworked 4.6L V8 from the regular Mustang, and when SVT was finished, it displaced 5.4L and made 385 horsepower. To maximize the power, SVT also worked on the Cobra R suspension, slipping and Bilstein shocks, stiffer springs, thicker sway bars, lighter control arms, and even Brembo brakes to improve its stopping power. The changes sum up to a 175 miles per hour top speed, but whether in a straight line or around corners, the Mustang SVT Cobra are a genuinely fast Ford. 2019 Ford Mustang GT 500, 180 miles per hour. The GT500 brand has been held in high regard since Carroll Shelby attached it to the Mustang name back in 1967. Known as the biggest and baddest Mustang available next to the Super Snake package that Shelby Cars offers, the GT500 Mustang is the peak of what Ford technology can produce in its road cars. The GT500 name was last used in 2014, and for 2019, the GT500 comes with 760 horsepower and a quick dual-clutch automatic. Prioritizing speed, the fastest factory Mustang is adorned with aero bits with its factory option handling package that optimized it for just that. Although it can easily knock on the door of 180 miles per hour, the GT500 is offered with magnetic damping, brakes, and tires that also make it capable of chasing down more expensive sports cars around racetracks and mountain roads. Oh my god. 2014 FPV Falcon GTF 351 186 miles per hour. So the FPV that stand for Ford Performance Vehicles was basically Ford Australia. Now while the Falcon got the axe in North America way back in the 1970s, the Aussies kept it alive for decades. They kept tweaking it, refining it, and pushing it forward all the way until 2014. But by then costs were climbing, sales were dropping, and Ford Australia decided it was time to give the Falcon one last proper send-off. And man, what a send-off it was. They dropped in a supercharged Coyote V8. Yes, that same Coyote V8 you're thinking of, and created the GTF 351. Honestly, it's about as close as Ford has ever come to building a four-door Mustang. Now, here's the cool part. The 351 is just some random badge. That's the power rating in kilowatts. When you translate that into American numbers, you're looking at 471 horsepower. Pair that with a 6-speed manual, and you've got a 4-door performance sedan that can top out at 186 miles per hour. But it's not just about speed in a straight line. The GTF actually handles corners really well. And when it's time to slow things down, you've got huge 6-piston Brembo brakes up front doing the work. So, in a lot of ways, this car feels less like a stretched-out Mustang and more like a proper European sports sedan. Honestly, it's closer to a BMW E39 M5 than anything else. 2005 Ford GT top speed 205 miles per hour. Effectively a homage to the low man's racers of the 1960s. The 2005 Ford GT already had big shoes to fill, especially with all the hype and anticipation around it. Knowing that Ford was even building it in the first place when it was finally introduced, the Ford GT carried all the looks and styling of its older race car brother, following a very similar silhouette. Under the hood, it's powered by a supercharged Ford modular V8. The 2005 GT produces 550 horsepower sent through a 6-speed manual gearbox to the rear wheels. When it first came out, it was naturally compared to the newest Ferrari of the time, the 360 Medina, and it proved that the blue oval could still make fast cars and even beat Ferrari in the sports car arena. The Ford GT also outpaced the Medina's 183 miles per hour top speed, only reaching its own limit at 205 miles per hour. 2013 Ford Shelby Mustang GT500 Super Snake 216 miles per hour. If the Ford GT had never existed, the Mustang would without question be Ford's true halo car. From its not-so-humble beginnings as the machine that kicked off the pony car wars, the Mustang nameplate has grown and evolved alongside Ford's technology, even becoming the company's first mass-produced non internal combustion vehicle. But when you attach GT500 to the Mustang name, it immediately creates a very different image in the mind of any enthusiast. And when you follow that up with the words Super Snake, the picture becomes even wilder. Straight from the Ford factory, the 2013 GT500 makes 660 horsepower. Hardly what you'd call slow. But Shelby takes things to another level, offering an optional package that cranks this already muscular Mustang up to a staggering 850 horsepower. That's thanks to a 3.6L supercharger that pushes the performance envelope far beyond what most would even consider reasonable. And it doesn't stop at raw power. The 850 horsepower Super Snake also gets an upgraded cooling system, improved suspension, a revised body with signature Super Snake styling cues, and even an optional wide body kit. All of this comes together to create a Mustang that isn't just faster, It's a full-on performance statement. 2019 Ford GT top speed 216 miles per hour. The second generation Ford GT is a true successor to the first modern version that arrived in 2005 and even to the originals that once conquered the 24 hours of Le Mans. At its core, the Ford GT is still very much an endurance racer. It's powered by a high-performance EcoBoost engine, which is Ford's turbocharged gasoline direct injection technology designed to deliver more power while also offering better fuel efficiency than a standard gasoline engine. Now, while EcoBoost is something you'll find across many of Ford's vehicles, in the GT, it serves a different purpose altogether: maximum speed and performance. And for the first time in the model's history, the GT steps away from the traditional V8. 1967 Ford GT40 Mark IV, top speed 220 miles per hour, while the Mark II and Mark III Ford for GT40 models were both quick and successful in their low man's efforts for the deuce. The fastest speed they could manage on the 3.6 miles straight was just over 200 miles per hour. That all changed with the arrival of the experimental J cars, which were further developed into the GT40 Mark IV. This car pushed the limits even further, hitting 220 miles per hour on that famous straight at Lance, with more power under the hood, a lighter aluminum honeycomb chassis, a tougher transmission, and a body shape for greater aerodynamic efficiency. The Mark GT40 was the ultimate evolution of the racing GT40. It delivered Ford's second victory at Le Mans, proving once again that the company could build cars fast enough to take down Enzo Ferrari at his own game and on his own turf.